Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic episode of the Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast. I am one of your hosts this week, Mr. Wrestling Chris G. Yes, I am here, everybody. I am here. And on the other line with me this week is my counterpart, my partner in crime, Mr. Mime. It's good old Dougie Fresh. Dougie, man, how you doing?
The hell was that intro?
What do you mean, what was that intro?
That intro was not normal.
No, it was not. I'm just feeling extra great, Doug. We just got done reviewing a 5-star episode. This is the second episode we're doing tonight. And I'm just feeling just extra good.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
I do not condone drugs, Doug. I don't know.
But you the fuck?
Weed is legal now. But on another note, everybody, no, that was not a regular introduction. I don't know. I'm so hyped tonight, man. Like, normally, I mean, I love doing our show, but coming off of the last episode that we just recorded, man, which was the one that you guys heard last week, the Battle of the Badge, like, that was such a great episode for me. And I know you're not so hype on this week's episode either, but I like this episode because the fucking Mr. Mime just gives no fucks in this episode. So, and then this Mr. Mime stays around for the foreseeable future as well.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I'm hyped. I'm doing really well tonight. How did your full day go? I mean, I know we kind of talked a little bit last episode, but how is your day actually going today, Doug? Even though it was a hot one.
It's fine. I melted on my walk and by the time I finished, it was 93 with a 108 heat index.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So I was showering with the door open, cold water. I mean,
It was a whole thing, Doug.
air was going. It was a whole fucking.
But I bet that air felt really nice and that cold water felt great on you.
Oh yeah.
After that long shower.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, that you don't got to go putting me on blast saying I take long showers now. I mean, I'm a grown man.
I'm a grown man that still takes baths, but I feel like because for people that don't know me, my wife says I'm 6'4". My driver's license says I'm 6'3". But
why would you cheat yourself?
What'd you say?
I said, why would you cheat yourself?
Exactly. But depending on what scale I'm on, I'm in between both of those. So growing up as a child, I love baths, everybody. I'll just throw that out there. I love being able to just sit in a bath and turn on a podcast. Most of the time it's Wrestling Observer. On occasion, I'll listen to this new Degrassi podcast or a different Pokemon podcast called It's Super Effective. And I'll sit there and I just love to just relax. But when I was growing up as a child, we had small baths, like very small baths. Like to the point where if I laid in a bath, my whole body couldn't be in there. I would have to like kick my legs up in order to like fit comfortably in the bath. So when we bought the house that I'm currently in right now, and it came with a very, very, very big jacuzzi, I try to take advantage of that bath at least once or twice a week, and I will lay in there, maybe light a candle or two. I'm joking, everybody. But I just love just laying in the bath and turning on the jets and just having the jets run the entire time I'm in the bath. I'm a bath man.
I don't think you're lying about those candles.
I'd be lying to you if I told you I never lit a candle going and taking a bath. I have.
Well, I know you have.
Yep. And I've done a bath bomb before. But you know what? I'm not a fan of certain bath bombs. Like, I would take a bath bomb any day of the week, but it cannot have any like confetti or any of that stuff on there because that stuff is such a freaking bitch to scrub out of your bathtub after you're like when it's going like the residue of it like of the confetti bath bomb stuff it just sticks to the bottom and you got to run the water and you got to scrub it's a whole thing, Doug.
Yeah, you would think that they would make that material like drain. This is going to sound drain compatible.
No, they do not. You know what I picture? I picture every time my drain pipes. I picture the drain pipes just being filled with like confetti on the inside, like there's a party going on inside of my drain pipes anytime I'm washing that stuff down after taking a bath bomb. Because my wife likes the ones with confetti in it, but so, I don't. I'll just give me one that's like a cherry one and just have it dissolved and give me a red bath any day of the week. But just make sure it doesn't have that damn confetti on
it. Just don't forget that you put a bath bomb in there and go, why the hell's the water red?
Oh, wait, no, that's a bad joke. Bad joke.
No.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
That won't make the final edit.
No, it will not.
Oh, yeah, but she knows the problem.
You see, but unbeknownst to C-Note, I could take out my one joke. If I took out all of his jokes on his episode, we'd have no episode.
I hope he randomly decides to listen to this episode.
Apparently, he listens to us now, so he'll come across this.
Hope in a couple months you get a text. What the fuck are you talking about?
And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. This week's episode, listen to it. Nah, I'm good.
Nah, I'm all right.
I'll listen to the first 30 seconds, make sure we sound good, and I'll listen to the ending to make sure we sound good, and then I'm all good.
You only give it 30 seconds?
No, I'm just, you know what I mean. I'll listen to a couple minutes.
I at least go until we start talking about Pokemon.
So, but yeah, this week's episode is episode 64, Doug. 64 on our illustrious podcast, and it's funny that we're doing episode 64 now. We're in the 600s of black and white, like right. that just shows how far. Like I feel like at some point when this becomes like a full-time job and we're doing like 2 episodes per day and we're dropping like
per day.
What?
Per day. You.
Well, if this does become a full-time job and this is what we do for a living, I can easily see us putting out like 4 episodes a week.
Are you high?
I might be.
4 episodes a week.
Well, what a cartoon. They put out like 3 episodes a week?
No, they've scaled back.
Oh, really?
They're down to only 2 What a Cartoons a month.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they scaled back.
Holy crap. Okay.
And even then, they were only doing 1 episode of The Simpsons a week.
They did 1 episode of The Simpsons. They did the Futurama thing. I remember them doing, what was that?
Yeah, Futurama takes a Sunday spot now.
Really? Oh, so they've completely revamped their show.
Uh-huh.
So they got Futurama, they got The Simpsons, they got What a Cartoon. Yeah, they were busy. So.
I'll tell you what, I'll do 4 episodes a week, but they're going to be 15-minute episodes.
Yeah, that's when we start doing these little specials on Pokemon. So like those special episodes that they put on PokemonTV.com or whatever the website is.
Right.
When we do those like 15-minute cartoon episodes, whenever we do those, I'm sure we'll do those at some point as an extra download for our fans. Maybe we can make a month of it. I don't know. We'll figure something out.
I feel like we can't be just releasing those.
No,
No,
not those
because we don't.
not those 15-minute episodes that have nothing to do with the original Pokemon episodes.
Not just those, because we maybe get 45, 50 minutes out of them.
Oh, that is true. That is true. Okay.
I mean, we could piggyback off a regular episode for a month.
Oh, that is true. We could go off script. I mean, the we can talk off air, but there's a lot of things we can do. So bless you. So all right, everybody. But as we were saying, episode
4
64.
episodes a week,
I'm thinking of our future, Doug. Our
every
future.
day recording. Go ahead, tell your wife you're going to record every day.
If it's a full time job,
See
she'll.
how quick you lose a nut.
It's already hard enough to get 2 days a week. But if this was a full time job, if I said, "Wife, I'm quitting my job and I'm going to be talking Pokemon for the rest of my life,"
She'd say, "Fuck you."
yeah, she would real quick. Well, she'd say "fuck you" depending on how much of the ad revenue that we're bringing into the show. If the flow is ridiculous, then I'm sure she'd be perfectly fine. So, all right. But as I was saying, today's episode is called "It's Mr. Mime Time," or translated from Japanese, it's called "Barrier of the Pokemon Circus."
Hmm.
Yes. This episode premiere. I don't even need to ask you this week. I can tell which one is the better one, and I'm going with the English title. But this episode was I can't even talk. This episode premiered September 24th, 1998, and here in the States, September 27th, 1999. So we are literally 1 year and 3 days apart from the release of both of these episodes, Doug.
Right.
And of course, we're going to go with the September 27th date. And surprisingly, we both have some pretty historic dates, but you are going first this week, Doug. So what do you have for us in the can for September 27th?
So on September 27th, 1923, New York Yankees slugger Lou Gehrig hits the first of his career 493 home runs.
Holy
and
crap.
He, pardon me, he would go on to play until 1939. He, of course, would have to retire due to the effects of ALS, which would later be renamed. Yeah, it would later be renamed Lou Gehrig's disease. Obviously, people are probably familiar with ALS from the Ice Bucket Challenge that was going around years ago. It's a horrible disease.
I'm sorry to even ask this, and people might be like, well, "How do you not know?" But could you give me like a sentence description as to what that is? I know I can Google it, but since you're already on the topic, what is that disease?
Well, so I don't make an ass of myself.
Oh, okay.
Gosh darn it, where's the guy Wikipedia frickin'? There it is.
Where is Wikipedia when you need it?
I'm on Wikipedia. I'm trying to find the ALS hyperlink. So, it's a neurologic...
You're good,
It
man.
it I'm trying to not read the freaking first two paragraphs of the Wikipedia article because that doesn't really tell you anything. Um, it basically affects the muscles, like um, like it begins with a weakness in your legs, and it will gradually just kind of take over the whole body, and it gets to the point where like your faculties are like severely lessened,
Okay.
and trying to
No, I'm reading a small description on it right now, but we don't need to go fully into it. I just figured I would just ask real quick since you were already on the topic. But you can go ahead and finish up your thoughts as to what you were saying.
yeah. So I mean, like I say, we could get down a rabbit hole. Um, but yeah, so he that was his um, first home run of his career. Like I say, he would finish with 493. Uh, he would drive in 190 1,995 runs. Um, Played his entire career for the Yankees. Um, he set the consecutive games played streak at 2,130, which was topped years later in where is it? Oh, 95. It was topped by Cal Ripken.
Okay.
And I believe it still currently stands at 2,632 consecutive games played. And so, yeah, little little snippet of Lou Gehrig for you.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Doug. Thank you. All right. And mine this week is from 1954. And this was the day that the Today Show, or not the Today Show, the Tonight Show first premiered on NBC, hosted by Steve Allen. And that show is still going today. Let's see. And isn't Jimmy Fallon the host today?
He's been the host since I was in college. So, well, not Northern. So, what did he start? 12, I
Yeah.
think.
Yes. So we've had Steve Allen, Jake Parr,
Jack Barr.
or Jack Parr, sorry, Johnny Carson, Jay Leno, Conan O'Brien. Let's see. It says Leno's
Uh,
second tenure.
yeah, Conan O'Brien kind of got dicked around.
And then we have Jimmy Fallon, who is still today. So,
You have a start date on Jimmy?
yeah, 2014.
2014. Okay.
Yes. It says 2014 to present. Yeah, Conan O'Brien only lasted 1 year. Do you have a story behind that, Doug, that you might
Um,
know?
Again, being real brief, Conan was tapped to be the successor to Leno. Um, and this was like known because Conan had the Late Show, which would air after tonight. Um,
The Conan O'Brien Show.
right. So they basically were like, okay, we're going to call up Conan to the
Night show.
10 to the 10:30 time, or well, I guess the 11:30 time slot if you're going by Eastern time zone. And Conan was doing his thing. He was good, and then like Jay Leno kind of got itchy, and rather than get another show on another network or whatever, he's like, I want the Tonight Show back. So it's Jay Leno and it's NBC. So they were like, give me back. And Conan ended up going to TBS to do his show.
I was about to say, where he became a huge success on TBS.
And now he's got the bag from HBO now.
Yes. So, good for you, Conan. Good for you.
Yeah.
All right. So, but yeah, that was a nice little history moment. I saw that pop up and I was like, well, damn. I was like, okay, so on this day, the Tonight Show first appeared. Why did I not see that? Well, actually, we haven't done the 27th. We did the 25th. I was like, why didn't I see that the first time around? But all right, but that is that. And it's now time to get on into today's episode, Doug. You ready?
Yes.
All right. So we start this week's episode with Ash on the phone calling his mother. And we get we get a nice little phone booth that is a camera phone. And isn't it funny how the camera sits on these phones? And this was way before the time of any type of Skype or anything that we had, Doug.
Right.
But Ash is calling his mom, and Ash is like, "Hi, Mom, it's me. It's your son that hasn't called in over 2 months." And Ash finally realizes he's talking to an answering machine.
Yeah, that's no fun when that happens, is it?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, you don't do it anymore, but
Oh, sending you the voicemail?
no, that was your message for the longest time.
Oh. Oh yeah, when I when I would be like, "Hello? Oh, hey, what's up? How you doing?" Yeah, oh, when I used to play jokes on you. Yes.
Yeah.
And it was to everybody that would call me. I should do that for more than half of the freaking telemarketers that freaking call.
That would not be a bad idea.
Hi, is this Chris? No, it is not Chris. Stop calling me. So, but yeah, Doug, he's talking to the answering machine, and he leaves a message, him and Pikachu, that they are coming back into town. And it's at this time that we get the title sequence, and we're into the episode. It's Mr. Mime time. Wait a minute. Hold on. They spelled mime wrong.
Yeah, they did.
It's Mr. Mime time?
Mime time.
Wow. Okay, so before Pokemon takes this down, everybody, go on watch.pokemon.com, look up season 2, episode 9, and they still to this day have not fixed the title sequence. It's Mr. Mime time. Oh. That's what I'm going to call this episode.
I wonder if that's how it's spelled on like Wiki.
On Wiki? No, it's Mr. Mime time on Wiki.
Mime?
Yep.
Huh.
I'm looking at it right now. So, yeah. Very weird. Very weird that did not get like caught at all. And still to this day is still Mr. Mime time.
Mime time.
So, we're back in. The narrator is saying that our trio is headed back into Pallet Town to find out where the Pokemon League is, because Ash still doesn't know. Shouldn't Brock know where the damn Pokemon League is?
He's the one with the map, yeah.
Well, not even just that. He's a gym leader, former gym leader.
This is also true.
So
Yeah, it's all kind of fucked up.
yeah. So Ash is saying that he can't wait. He can't wait to see Professor Oak. Brock is telling him to slow down, and so is Misty because they're kind of speed walking. Brock looks like he's lost like 10 pounds in this scene because Brock just looks extra skinny. Doug?
He was kind of booking it, and I mean, at least Misty has an excuse. She's holding Togepi.
Yeah, for real. So it's at this time that Ash just starts, instead of power walking, he starts running, and he's running back home. And he runs straight into a clear wall. And Brock and Misty are like, "What's wrong?"
Like,
And they're like,
I,
"Why'd you stop running?" And could you imagine just running into a brick wall, bro? Like that has to have hurt.
yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to think about that because because like Ash was going at a good clip,
Yeah,
and
he
then
was.
he just smack. I mean, I don't want to. I'd be knocked on my ass. I'll tell you that much for free.
I know. But he's like, I ran into this wall. And they're like, what wall? And Brock walks over and he's like, ah, I feel it. And they're like, how did it get here? And then they look up and they
And
see a
Spider
Mr.
Man.
Yeah, Spider Man. They see Mr. Mime made a barrier and is now climbing its own wall.
So Ash naturally takes out Dexter, and we find out that Mr. Mime is a pantomime Pokemon.
Yes.
Or no, it's a barrier Pokemon that
It-
uses pantomime to make actual walls appear.
which
But
is
because it's
pretty
so
cool.
rare, and it also says because it's so rare, not much information is known about it.
Yes.
So Ash, quite rightfully, says, "Well, shit, I'm gonna catch it if it's so rare." And I wasn't even looking for a Pokemon today.
Exactly. He's like, I just found a really rare Pokemon without even looking. Let's catch it. And Ash
And
takes out a Pokeball to throw it, and that's when we hear a woman's voice.
she says, "Please, won't you let me catch it?" And Ash rightfully says, "Well, I saw it first," which, you know, fair
He's not
point.
wrong. But
And
Brock, since he can't say no to a pretty face, he's like, "I'm afraid my young friend's manners aren't what they are. I'm afraid my young friend's manners aren't what they used to be. Please be my guest and capture that Mr. Mime." I'd be pissed. Ash is like, "Wait a minute, no, you're not gonna freaking catch it. I saw it first."
I was mid throw, and unfortunately for everybody involved, we look, and Mr. Mime has gotten down on the opposite side of the wall and is running away. And
The
this
wall is
poor
still
woman,
there.
I was going to say, this poor woman throws her Pokeball, but it just bounces off the wall, and she is distraught.
So I wonder when this wall disappears. Or does it stay there forever?
I don't know. I would think the mime that summoned the wall would have to be the one to take it down.
So, but yeah, Brock comes back into the screen and he's like, "I'm sorry, it's all my fault that Mr. Mime got away." And she's like, "Huh?" He's like, "Whatever your problem is, I feel it's my duty to help you solve it." Just all horned
Just the way you said that, huh?
up.
Yeah, so Brock is basically willing to walk through invisible walls for this woman that he just met because he's thinking with his dick.
Yes.
And we find out that she is the leader of the Pokemon Circus.
Yes. And it's a weird I mean, they didn't even give it any like special name. It's just the Pokemon Circus.
And her name is
Stella.
Stella. Stella, yeah.
Stella, the ringmaster.
And so 3 other people that work at the circus come out and say, "Did you have any luck finding a replacement for Mr. Mime?" And she's like, "Almost." And
Yeah, so they're in town. So they're looking for a replacement Mr. Mime, right?
yes,
How is it that they come across a random Mr. Mime out of nowhere just looking around unless she just knew where to look because she has a Mr. already.
psst,
What's up?
it's a kid's show.
I know, but I'm just saying. So, but
Oh,
there's a lady that opens the door to the trailer that they're standing next to, and she goes, "What will we ever do when our Mr. Mime won't go on?" And Ash is like, "Huh?" You see, I'd be mad. So Ash could have easily have had this Mr. Mime, could have threw the ball up, caught this Mr. Mime, and even if Mr. Mime broke out of the ball, at least it's not on top of a wall anymore to where it can run away. But this woman already has a damn Mr. Mime. I would have looked at her and said, "You already have a Mr. Mime. I could have caught that Mr. Mime."
you just got to smack your Mr. Mime out of it.
Yeah, for real. So they look through this window and there's a Mr. Mime reading Pokemon comic books and drinking a soda and eating potato chips, just sitting on the couch, not having a care in the world.
He's eating potato chips one at a time,
Yes.
which is not how you eat potato chips.
The fuck? I eat potato chips one at a time.
No, you just open a bag and go ham.
Well, yeah, if you're a pig.
It's called being effective.
I eat my potato chips one at a time and make love to my cheeseburgers.
Somebody clip that. Somebody please clip that.
Because it's an inside joke, but like what
Ow!
a couple weeks ago, pre-recording, me and Doug was like hashing out the dates that we were doing, and my wife brought me a bacon cheeseburger downstairs so I can eat before I'm ready to record. Normally, I don't like to eat before we record, but that burger was just like staring me in the face, and I bit into this cheeseburger, everybody, and like the microphone was like right next to my face, and Doug just heard every last like thing of saliva in my mouth going, yum, yum, yum. And apparently I was like, mmm. And Doug was like, damn. He's like, your wife is a lucky woman if that's the way that you treat a damn cheeseburger.
Uh,
Doug.
so we find out that Stella was kind of being a little harsh on Mr. Mime because she wanted it to be the best Mr. Mime possible.
Yes.
And Mr. Mime didn't take kindly to that and quit during the middle of a show. And I'm assuming it hasn't left the trailer since it quit the show.
Yeah, Mr. Mime basically said, I don't need this. You need me.
You need me, exactly, yeah.
So, and if this is the way that you're going to treat me, I'm out.
You can
So,
kiss my makeup ass.
and we're going to find, I mean, that's a little foreshadowing, but we're going to find out how harsh she was. So,
Oh, yes, we will.
so this little nice woman that we see turns into a completely different person when she's training.
Well, she does have a whip.
She does. But the reason that we find out the reason she's trying to get this other Mr. Mime is not only to train it, but to make this Mr. Mime that's inside of the trailer jealous, and maybe it'll get this Mr. Mime up to want to work again.
And Misty goes, competition. Kind of like how Ash is
Jealous of Gary.
jealous of Gary. And then Ash like immediately pops into frame and goes, I am 10 times better than Gary. And Misty goes, my point.
She's like, see what I mean? And Brock comes into the mix and he's like, Stella, I'm going to get you a new Mr. Mime today. And she's like, do you think you really can, Brock? He's like, I guarantee you. Count me in. They don't call me Brock the Rock for nothing. And he just flexes.
Misty goes, they must be talking about the rocks in his head.
Oh, man. When did The Rock become popular?
Well, he debuted at the Survivor Series in '96. Popular. I mean, big time popular, probably like 98, 99.
Yes, it says 1998. So this episode came out around the time when The Rock was becoming an international star, and they had to throw that in there. I fully believe that was part of the line that they wanted to put in here because of The Rock, the character.
No way that was in the original translation, though.
No. But
then Ash is actually thinking logically for once. He goes, Brock, it's going to be kind of hard to catch that Mr. Mime.
Because we don't even know where it's at.
And then Brock turns around with this evil-looking glint in his eye and goes, I don't have to catch Mr. Mime. I can make one.
And I was like, how the hell are you going to make a Mr. Mime?
And Brock just starts to laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh.
And he gets this little creepy look in his eye with this like weird pink and purple background.
And he goes, oh, Ash, I believe you can help me. And Ash is kind of nervously laughing, and Brock kind of grabs him by the shoulders, and the camera pans up to the sky, and you hear Ash go, "Ah!"
So it's at this time that we get Team Rocket introduced for the first time in this episode. We see Team Rocket going down into a forest area, and then there's a Team Rocket headquarters inside of this forest.
Yes.
And Team Rocket goes inside of the building. The building is decked out and all sort like this is a really nice building in the middle of nowhere inside of this forest. But Jesse, James, and Meowth are down on one knee, and down comes this big, I'm gonna call it like a 100-inch flat screen. And there's Giovanni standing right next to Mewtwo. And he's like, what do you want? Doug, you want to go over this?
Yes. So Jesse apologizes for what happened in Viridian City. So, continuity.
They actually talked about something that happened in the last episode.
Loved it. And then Meowth is like, well, this won't affect my bonuses, will it? And frickin' Giovanni's just reading him the riot act, and
he's like, how dare you waste my time? I want rare Pokemon, not your pathetic excuses.
And then they say, oh, we'll get you those rare Pokemon.
Don't you worry, sir.
And they run off.
And Giovanni is then standing next to Mewtwo, and he's like, they can search the entire universe, but they'll never find a Pokemon as rare as you. And he's looking and he's laughing at Mewtwo getting charged up by the machine again.
And then we pan out to see Team Rocket is taking a ride in their balloon, and they're kind of trying to rally each other. And Meowth is hit in the face with a flyer for the circus.
Yes. Don't you love how that happens? How did this little piece of paper?
So wonderful and lovely and just not at all a coincidence.
I know. He's like, and they're looking at the flyer, and they get the bright idea that there's going to be a bunch of rare Pokemon here. Now let's go catch them.
So, speaking of the circus, we're back at the circus, and everybody's looking at the Mr. Mime that Brock has put together.
And to his defense, this looks like a real legit Mr. Mime.
Yeah,
Outside of the zipper on the back.
outside of the exactly, but as long as it's facing the audience.
So Brock is like, it's perfect, and so does Misty. And Pikachu likes it too. And Brock is like, I think this may be the best Pokemon I ever raised.
And Ash goes,
What do you mean it's the best Pokemon you ever raised?
and he takes the head off, and why is he still wearing the hat?
I was thinking the same thing, and it's backwards.
Well, it's serious. So he takes the hat off, and the head. I wish he took the hat off. He's like, why do I have to be the one that's dressed like a clown? Or, yeah, why do I have to be the one that's dressed like a clown? And Brock's like, well, it's simple. I'm too big, and they show like a comparison of Brock versus the costume. And Misty pops in the frame and goes, and who wants to cover this face?
And he's like, I won't. He's looking as he's dressed in this Mr. Mime outfit. He's like, I won't do it. I'm not going to dress like a clown. And Stella's like, oh, please, Ash, you've got to.
Yeah, she's laying on the works, and Ash is like, but I don't even know Mr. Mime's tricks. And Brock's like, well, Stella can teach you with her gentle touch. And oh boy, that gentle touch. And just Brock is just not convinced. But then the other three women at the circus come in, and them laying on the pretty pleases is just the right touch to push him over the edge. And he agrees, and he because he's blushing because he's a 10-year-old. But then as soon as he puts the head back on,
Stella goes into freaking like you said, dominatrix mode with Stella. She just gets the whip out and just starts whipping the mess out of Ash. And Ash's like, what the fuck is going on here? And Brock, I feel like, is getting turned on from all this. He's like, it'll whip you into shape, Ash.
I was waiting for Brock to say, maybe I should try to get into that costume.
And Misty's like, she's not as sweet as she looks, is she? And Pikachu's like, Pika. And what does she say? She's like, let's see some pantomime, Mr. Mime.
Like, pantomime? And she's like, that's right. Now quit talking and start. And he's like,
start miming.
He's doing the box trick. And he's like, I'm starting to understand why this other Mr. Mime quit.
She's like, no, put more feeling into it. How can I put more feeling into acting like I'm touching a window?
Like I'm touching a window.
You think Mr. Mime's going to be jealous of that? Whip!
Yeah, she is just going 100%. And
she's like, wrong, again, whip, faster, whip. I was like, well, damn.
And then we pan up and we pan out and we see that the original Mr. Mime is unaffected by this new development.
He's not even watching it. How is he going to be affected? They were inside of the tent. Mr. Mime is inside just eating potato chips.
And then apparently it's showtime.
Yes. Fireworks in the air on a nice blue sky day. And
Hate that.
Why?
Fireworks during the daytime makes no flipping sense.
No, it doesn't.
Can't see them.
Well, you're not supposed to see it. You're just supposed to hear the pop, 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 pop.
And think somebody's shooting at you.
So...
Anyway.
So here we go. It's showtime. Ladies and gentlemen and all the children of all ages.
D-Generation. Oh, wrong show.
D-Generation X proudly brings to you. Come on, Doug.
No, it's the wrong show.
Oh, damn.
So yeah, Stella is standing center ring, and she introduces everybody, and so we've got Rapidash and Ponyta, we've got a Machamp.
Machoke.
Oh, Machamp's got four arms.
Yes.
Um, we've got a Tangela and Execute. We've got a Doug Trio, no, Do Trio.
Yep.
And then Stella comes back out side by side with Mr. Mime,
And
aka Ash.
yep. And Ash looks in the audience and sees his mother, and he's like, "Oh, that's my mom." And she's like, "Shut up."
She should have smacked him.
Yeah, for real. But she has to stay face for everybody.
And then just as they get to the center ring, the lights go out,
And Brock
and
Misty's like, "Is this a part of the show?" And Brock's like, "I don't think so."
Jesse and James are on opposite poles, and
They run their whole spiel.
they do as they're doing it, they are doing like a trapeze act, and unfortunately for them, they fall. But
Yes.
there is a net, so they're able to bounce back onto one of the landings. And then Meowth shoots himself out of a cannon. And then at that point, Misty goes, "It's Team Rocket," and I'm sitting there going, "No shit."
Well, Meowth had the best part of that thing. He just got shot out of the cannon and he did it all perfect. And Meowth was like, "Well, their trapeze act may have been sloppy, but I'm the real star." But he's like, but Meowth gets mad. He looks at the audience. He's like, "Come on, applaud for us." And nobody's applauding. Everyone's kind of confused. And Jesse's like, "Hold on to your cotton candy, kid. All we want is that Mr. Mime." And Ash's like, "Oh shit."
He's like, "But I'm not a." He starts to say, "But I'm not a Mr. Mime." But then Stella comes behind and says, "Kayfabe, kayfabe."
And James is like, "We wouldn't want a circus Pokemon to work without a net." Get it? And then he
And
shoots out a net and catches Mr. Mime. Brock runs over and tackles Stella out of the way. I'd be mad at Brock right now.
right,
Like he saved Stella, but let Ash get captured, and Team Rocket just leaves out of there with Mr. Mime, aka Ash, and they're gone out
and
of the
then
hole.
Miss Ketchum walks up to him and says, "That's not Mr. Mime. That was Ash." And they're all kind of looking at each other like, "Ghoul." And then we go to commercial. We get Who's That Pokemon? It's Jinx, because of course it is. Because why wouldn't it be Jinx? Why would it be Mr. Mime? That would be silly.
Well, Jinx is a part of next week's episode, Doug.
Hmm.
The unofficial, but this is the Black Jinx, everybody. One of the very
Or
few times you're going to see the original Mr. Jinx.
Mr. You're
I'm, I'm thinking Mr. Mime. Sorry. That you're going to see Jinx, not Mr. Jinx.
so
We come back and the show is over at this point. And um, this, I kind of got mad at this scene right here. And they're like, Team Rocket just kidnapped your son. And Mrs. Ketchum is like, "I'm not worried. They were trying to get Mr. Mime. Once they find out that it was Ash, Ash is going to be totally fine and he's going to become free."
because Ash isn't gonna do shit for.
Which, okay, I'm sorry, but in the Pokemon world, are there people that don't kidnap other people in the Pokemon world? Because she's completely fine with Ash getting kidnapped and totally fine that she's going to see him again one day.
I would imagine that we see more Poke nappings than we do kids.
Yeah, you know, to be completely honest, if Pokemon were real, there probably would be less thievery in the world. There'd be more thievery of actual Pokemon in the real world than there would anything. I mean, I know you'll have your bad guys that'll come around and try to break into places with their Pokemon, but I don't think that there would be hardly as many killings as there is.
No, because people would still train Pokemon to be pricks.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Mrs. Ketchum is like, they'll let him go once they find out that he's not Mr. Mime. But you know what? Until then, why don't you guys come over for a delicious lunch?
And nobody's worried. And then we go to Team Rocket's hideout, and Team Rocket's having lunch, having some bread, and they're very content with themselves, and they're smiling. And Ash is sitting in the corner,
And he's
and
like, I'm not Mr. Mime. And Ash gets himself untangled from the ropes, takes his head off, and they're like, oh my gosh, he took his head off.
that was good. And Ash goes, sorry to disappoint you. I'm not Mr. Mime. I didn't mean to fool you, but I guess that's not that hard to do considering who I'm talking to. And basically, they're still thinking, oh, it's just a Mr. Mime trick. And he goes, I'm not Mr. Mime. And he puts the head back on, and he walks out the door. And Team Rocket is fuming.
Yeah, they're like, he always tricks us. And they walk out after him. And there's Ash in the Mr. Mime outfit fucking taking their balloon. He's like, for once, your hot air came in handy. Get it? Ha 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 ha.
And Team Rocket is literally hopping up and down. They're so mad.
And Meowth is like, give me back the balloon. That's my face on that balloon.
And yeah, that was good. And then so we catch the others at the end of lunchtime, and Miss Ketchum is Mrs. I suppose is sending them on their way and saying they're welcome anytime. And then the Mr. Mime that was climbing up the wall peeks out of a bush in her front yard and is standing at the rear window, and Mrs. Ketchum thinks it's Ash just committing to the bit,
Yes.
and she's like, "Oh, I'm happy you're home. I'll make you a big dinner," and
They
it is a big dinner.
Yep, and she's like, Misty and Brock told me why you're in this Mr. Mime outfit, but I'm glad you made it home.
And she's laid out like 3 dishes full of food,
And Mr.
and
Mime just starts going to town on it.
he's just chowing.
And then it's at this point that we see Ash dropping down in the Team Rocket balloon and walk into the house. And he's like, whoa. And, oh, no, he goes, Mom, I'm home. And she's like, yes, I already know you're home, sweetie. And she walks around the corner to say something else to Ash. And she's like, does Ash have a twin brother?
That was so dumb.
And she was like, well, I mean, did she not birth Ash? Is she trying to say that Ash is adopted?
Would she not remember if something else came out?
But yeah, she's looking at both of the Mr. Mimes, and Ash is like, I'm Ash, and this is the real Mr. Mime. And Mr. Mime goes and runs behind Mrs. Ketchum.
And then Ash does what he should have done as soon as he walked in the door. And he takes the hat. That I keep saying hat.
The head
Takes the
off.
head off, and
Mrs. Ketchum has a funny line. She's like, I was wondering. I did get a little suspicious when Mr. Mime was eating was eating the food pretty cleanly.
and he just falls over. And then he gets back up. He's like, "Look, Mr. Mime, my friends and I could really use your help." And he's hesitant, but then Mrs. Ketchum gets down on his level and says, "Would you please help my son and his friends?" And he agrees because Mr. Mime's a big old softy.
Yes. And Ash gets mad. He's like, I'm supposed to be the Pokemon trainer, but Mr. Mime wouldn't listen to him, but it was listening to Mrs. Ketchum. But then we go outside and we see a big rumbling machine with a cannon on it. What is this thing? Like a tank?
I would say tank, yeah.
So it's a big old Team Rocket tank on six wheels, going head first towards Ash's. Oh no, not no no! They're not
They're
going to
back at the
Ash's house.
circus.
They're going back to the circus.
So, and it's firing a net gun, and it's got Machamp, or gosh darn it, Machoke, and Tangela, and Execute, and it's getting all the Pokemon, and then they send the trucks after it, but it gets the trucks as well.
Yes, and they're like, we must have the Mr. Mime out of all of these Pokemon, and they take out a big old camera and they're looking around for the Mr. Mime, but they don't see
And,
it.
and well, but we do eventually see Stella running with a Mr. Mime, and we find out that it's the original lazy Mr. Mime.
Yes. And she's
And
running away so that Mr. Mime doesn't get caught. But this Mr. Mime has been eating too many potato chips and can't really keep up with Stella and falls and is panting out of breath. But then
so Stella has to give it a piggyback ride, and they get just far enough out of range, and um, as
Mr. Mime starts feeling compassion for Stella again.
right, and then as Team Rocket is watching from the tank, we see Ash jump down, and
Ash is a dumb kid, just
well,
dumb,
yeah,
dumb, dumb. They're getting ready to shoot out whatever out of this cannon, and Ash jumps right in front of it. He doesn't know that this thing doesn't have missiles.
he doesn't
Like
give a
he's
shit.
about to get blown up for a damn circus clown.
Damn circus clown. And then Ash and Pikachu are reunited. Ash tells Pikachu to thunderbolt the tank. It's unaffected because it's a fucking tank.
Yes.
And then the tank comes charging at Ash, and Ash goes, "Well, this is a long shot, but I got to do it." And he sends out Charizard, and he
And
says,
Charizard just
"Flamethrower."
lays there.
Yep.
I thought we were back on after he got his volcano bash that Charizard will finally start listening to him.
Well, you're going to be hella confused next week.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, you're gonna be hella confused because we're going back in time. But yeah, it's at this point that Charizard is just laying there, and freaking Jesse's like, "Your days are numbered. Now hand over that Mr. Mime." And Meowth is like, "Yeah, but thanks for the memories, pal."
Obviously, a big Fall Out Boy fan in Meowth there. Um, so Ash is running because he has no other shot, and then Mrs. Ketchum is like, "Please, Mr. Mime, help my son." And Mr. Mime steps in front of the tank and starts manifesting walls.
Yes, which I give it. This is a pretty cool like attack for Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime just starts building a big old invisible wall, which does not get penetrated by the wall, and this wall you could actually see.
Yeah,
And Team Rocket legit tried to kill this damn Mr. Mime with an actual missile. Like they had a damn missile come flying out of this thing.
yeah, because they're pushed to their limit.
So Ash could have legit died by stepping in front of this thing. Point, case in point.
Yeah, but it's his show, so he's okay. Um,
but Mr. Mime at this point starts manifesting all these different walls to stop Team Rocket. Doug?
and everybody is kind of like way to go, Mr. Mime, way to. And the original Mr. Mime, you can kind of see is kind of like, this is kind of some bullshit. I'm the Mr. Mime around here. What the fuck's going on? So he it jumps into action.
To help build walls too. And Team Rocket's trying to run over these walls but can't.
Right. So Team Rocket now is um, basically, if you'll pardon the pun, boxed in,
Yes.
and the Mr. Mimes are basically having a competition as they're building up walls on opposite sides of each other because we have kind of a showdown and we have kind of a and
Did you love their Team Rocket's line by going, well, that's walls, folks?
yeah, I hated that. It was
a,
so clunky, and
a Looney Tunes gag.
it 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 follows to your question how like this should be the end of Team Rocket.
Yes, because they can't get they're completely boxed in
Like this is it. This is the end of them. We should never see them again.
unless these walls vanish after a certain amount of time.
Like once the Mr. Mime leaves the area, like
Do the walls vanish one by one, starting from the bottom, and when the bottom starts disappearing, the rest of the walls just fall?
well, no, yeah, but I would assume even if they fell because they weren't supported, they would just disappear because they're as real as the other pieces.
Exactly. but but it's at this point that Team Rocket, as you stated, was boxed in. The day is saved. Stella's original Mr. Mime agrees to start working back in the circus, and she apologizes to it and says that she will not be as hard on this Mr. Mime again in the future. And they both hug it out.
And Mrs. Ketchum calls her Mr. Mime Mimey, and Ash is like Mimey, and she's like, that's his nickname.
You know what? Maybe that's what they meant by the title sequence. Instead of maybe it was supposed to be it's Mimey time.
Don't give them too much credit.
but but then we go straight to the inside of Team Rocket being boxed inside of their tank, and Meowth just starts going ham. He's just hitting missile button, missile button, missile button, missile button, and the missiles are going everywhere, and the wall is withstanding it, and then it's just a big kaboom, and it's like a big missile shooting out of the boxed little fake walls, and Team Rocket goes blasting off again.
And this is where they say their different line. They say Team Rocket is blasting off ourselves.
And then it is now dusk time, and
we're back at the Ketchum residence.
And Mr. Mime can cook.
He can cook. He's got an apron.
We found out that Mr. Mime wants to join the Ketchum family and wants to stay with Mrs. Ketchum.
And Misty's like, well, this is at least somebody that helps out. And Ash goes, I help out, and everybody laughs. And
Mr. Mime is the son that she never had.
Oh, that's harsh.
Can you see Ash making his bed and keeping his room clean?
No, but to be fair, I don't make my bed.
Oh, well, I make my bed 50% of the time.
So well, I'm going back in it later.
True, but
so
you want it to look nice.
For who?
For anyone.
My dog doesn't care what the bed looks like.
So, and then the narrator is taking us out by saying it looks like Mr. Mime is learning what Ash has known for a long, long time. There's no place like home. And then we get Mr. Mime. A big old circle comes up. They're very big Looney Tune fans in this episode. With Mr. Mime giving the good old goodbye and the to be continued. And that's this week's episode, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So, Doug, my man, what did you think of this week's episode?
It's a fun episode.
It was fun to review it because you wasn't fully on camp with this one, watching it the first time through.
No, this is probably about a 3, and I mean a comfortable 3.
Okay.
It's fun to review. Had fun doing the review. It was an easy watch.
Yes.
Mr. Mime sticking around, which is always good because I was sick of meeting these interesting trainers that we never see again.
They're gonna come back sooner or later.
Yeah, you keep saying that.
But yeah, I'll go ahead. I'm on board with you this week. I'm going to go ahead and give this episode a nice little 3. It's a good progression episode. We're now in the camp now where we're about to take a good 2 weeks off, basically, in the Pokemon world because we're about to go back in time on the next 2 episodes. But after that, it's full blown training time for Ash to get ready for the Pokemon League, Doug. We finally made it to the Pokemon League episodes.
Yeah, I'm excited to go over those because these are very much like if you're looking for Pokemon battles,
these are the episodes for you.
Yeah.
Oh, but all right, everybody. So let's go ahead, and it's time for Pokemon pack opening time, Doug, to end tonight. So I got my pack right here. I've already opened the pack, or I already did the card trick. So, Doug, what energy am I going to be looking at the bottom?
Electric.
Electric? Well, electric was last week. So this week... Huh?
Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Shit. Well, you've had water back to back.
I have. I'll give you one more this week. Electric was last week. What pass?
Grass.
Oh, grass. Nope, it's a fighting energy.
Oh, fuck.
So I got a fight. I got a fighting energy. I got a Thwacky. I think that's how you pronounce his name. A fog crystal, a Hatrim, cast form, Ladybug, a Gullet, a Clobopus, I guess I can't pronounce it. Clobopus. Clobopus. Whatever.
It's close if it's not.
I know. I got a snowy form, cast form. My reverse holo is a Deerling. And I have a regular holographic Zarude. Zarude's one of my favorite Pokemon, so I'm pretty happy with that get this week.
Oh, there you go.
So that is the pack this week. And again, if you want to see these Pokemon cards, I do post them with the trainer card that has a code on it. And first come, first serve. The code can only be used once. Follow us at every Pokemon episode on Instagram, on Twitter. It's at PokeBreakdown. Or if you're feeling froggy and you want to jump, go on over to FeedSpot and subscribe to us there if you haven't already, and help people get the word out for our Pokemon podcast and get us up there, because the higher that we are, the more people see our show, and hopefully one day we will we'll get an award for this show, because that's how people get podcast rewards, is by getting that word out. So go ahead and get us up there. I want to be in the top 10, Doug. I want to be in the top 10. It's been a year and we're almost there. So, do you have anything else to add this week, Doug?
No, I mean we had a couple of good episodes, and we dipped back into the Kanto region.
Yes.
Kind of like riding a bike.
I was about to say, how did it feel dipping back? Because I mean, everyone knows now that we're doing both Kanto and Black and White as of right now, because we're on the verge of going into the Orange Islands. How does it feel, Doug?
I didn't really. I mean, obviously there is a shift, but going back to Kanto was kind of like just putting on a nice fuzzy blanket.
I know it feels nice, feels real nice. So, all right, everybody. Well, that was this week's episode. Thank you all for listening. So go ahead and give your goodbye, Doug, if you have nothing else to add this week.
Goodbye, Doug.
And this is Wrestling Chris G telling you that for the next 2 weeks, we are going back in time, everybody, for these next 2 episodes. We have Holiday Hijinks and Snow Way Out, so you don't want to miss those. Have a good night, everybody.